and welcome to another episode of Federico Talks Watches. Today, I want to discuss something that's been circulating around the watch industry for a while, and it's recently hit the public eye. It's been reported on Hodinkee, and I'm actually surprised it's taken so long for people to talk about it, because we in the watch industry have been discussing it for a while. And that is the state of the watch industry, or the disheveled state of the watch industry, shall I say. Now, before we get started, quick wristwatch check. Today I am wearing the Panerai Luminor Marina, the Panerai Luminor Daylight with the chronograph. Perfect for summer, rubber strap, and since we're going to be discussing a little bit about Richemont today, I thought it would be appropriate. So guys, what is the state of the watch industry? Not good. Not good at all. Sales are down across the board. Swatch Group just reported their sales figures, and they're 54% down this half. And let me tell you, last year they weren't doing well either. So 50% down, 54% down over last year, that's awful. There's a crazy amount of stock on the market. No one is selling watches, and there's a few factors for that. But things are changing. Richemont, for the first time in its history, and I've worked for Richemont for a while, but Richemont, for the first time in its history, is actually buying back stock from dealers because dealers can't sell it. That has never happened. And I've spoken to my friends in the watch industry, fellow reps, dealers, sales associates, and yeah, it's not good. Everybody's having a ton of trouble. The watch industry probably peaked around 2013 to early 2014, and man, those were great times. But right now, it's looking like Armageddon. People are saying the watch industry hasn't been this bad since the quartz crisis in the 60s and 70s. Now, what caused this, might you be thinking? And there are a few reasons, but some of them you might not know because you're not in the industry, and they might sound a little shocking. First off, let me throw a little statistic at you guys. 70% of the ultra-premium category of watches, so $10,000 and above average price, 70% of those sales in America were not made to local American customers. So who are they made to? Well, some of you might be surprised, some of you might not be surprised. 70% of sales were made to Chinese buyers. Now, this varies brand to brand. Some brands might be less, some brands might be more. But Chinese buyers are a big part of the American in the American watch economy. And these are Chinese tourists that come to America for vacation and splurge huge amounts of cash. Hell, when I worked retail at 1P Jewelers on Fifth Avenue, once a day we'd have a tour bus stop by and 60, 70 Chinese tourists would rush in and we'd sell watches like we were selling hot dogs. It was that easy. Not to mention, I even picked up some Chinese words to sell to the Chinese. Even brands have Chinese names. Did you know Vacheron Constantin in Chinese is actually pronounced Jianzi Dundun? Or JLC, Jaeger LeCoultre, is actually pronounced Jija? Neither did I, but I sure as hell picked that up when all my customers became Chinese. Now, the Chinese have dropped off buying watches. Why is this? Now, I'm not a huge political expert, I don't claim to be, but the gist of the story is the Chinese government has changed. The old president, Hu Jintao, is no longer in power, and the new guy, Xi Jinping, please excuse me if I'm butchering these names, has really cut down on corruption, anti-corruption. What does this mean? It's very hard for Chinese officials to take money out of China into America, and most of these watches, which were bought for gifts or maybe bribes, but let's call them gifts, are no longer being given as gifts because it's not appropriate for the party, and once again, you can't take money out of the country. Now, good on China for cracking down on corruption, but it's wreaked havoc on the watch industry in America and actually all over the world. Not to mention, there's a whole sect here in the United States of jewelers that just cater to the Chinese. These so-called Chinese jewelers, there's usually one in every major city. And these guys are also not doing well because most cities have a big local Chinese population. Once again, a lot of their funds come from China because of their families and whatnot, and that's affected the local Chinese business as well. Now, when this huge Chinese influx happened, the watch companies started ignoring the local customers, the local Americans like me and you. We weren't a significant part of their business. And you know what? Putting all their eggs into one basket, the Chinese basket, has really hurt the industry. I mean, we weren't advertising to local customers, we weren't caring, giving customer care to local customers, because they were such a small percentage of the business. All the money was being spent in China. Not to mention another thing, which hasn't to do with the Chinese, but as an industry in general, and it's a thing that I share an opinion with my good friend Christian over at Theo and Harris, and that is watch marketing. The industry is so slow, it's glacial. They still market in the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Observer, Gotham Magazine, print ads. The industry is very old school, and they do not care about the internet. Most watch brands didn't have a YouTube channel or an Instagram until about a year ago because things started going so bad, so they decided to innovate. Well, in my opinion, too little, too late, guys. You should have listened to the young buyers because, me, somebody like me, my age, 30 years old, well, actually under 30, who is going to buy a watch and might have a little bit of money to spend, I don't read the Wall Street Journal. I read, blogs. I do social media. That's where you're going to find customers like me. All these guys that do print, that's long gone. These buyers are dwindling. It's a generational thing. And let's not forget, when the watch industry was doing so well, we got really greedy. I mean, price increases 1, 2, even 3 times a year in 2014. Having your product increase a total of 18% in a year, that is insane. And this has caused some really inflated prices. So now that the Chinese guys are gone, most Americans, they don't want to spend $9,000 for a steel sub. $9,000. Guys, in 2008, the sub was around the $6,000 mark. That's insanity. Another thing that affected the watch industry is earlier this year, the Swiss franc, because most watches are Swiss, was depegged from the euro. Now, once again, I'm not an economist and I don't know much about Forex, but the franc skyrocketed in value compared to the dollar, making Swiss imports very, very expensive. Their margins were killed. Now, this was not the fault of the Swiss watch industry. This was more the Swiss government decided to depeg the franc from the euro. However, this certainly did not help. So what has the watch industry done to respond to this slowing climate? Well, the first thing is most brands have halted price increases. And thank God, it's about time. However, some other brands, mainly because of this franc situation, had price decreases. And this is very, very rare. It's only happened maybe once or twice in the past 10 years. However, I don't think this is the right move because you anger every customer that bought the watch at a higher price and you devalue your brand. So while I do think prices are too high, I don't think you should decrease your prices. I just think you shouldn't have price increases for 4 or 5 years. Price decreases, in my mind, as a businessman, not as an aficionado, hurt the brand, and I find it very, very short-sighted. Another thing watch brands have been doing to get more customers is opening something called an accessible price point. And that is brands like Vacheron Constantin, who just came out with the Coup d'E line in steel, something they haven't done, well, ever. And what about Piaget, making the Polo S, a steel watch at $9,000? Now, I used to work for Piaget, and let me tell you, they didn't believe in steel. But now that, now that nobody's spending this kind of money, they're trying to find customers wherever they can. So they came out with a steel watch. Once again, not necessarily a bad thing, but I find it very short-sighted. Because if your brand isn't known for steel, doesn't want to do steel, and wants to be ultra-premium, then you're devaluing your brand. So, when this hopefully gets fixed, what are going to be the long-lasting effects of your new steel piece? And also, Patek Philippe, they came out, I think, 1 or 2 Basel Worlds ago with a pilot's watch. Patek doesn't make a pilot's watch. They're scrambling for a younger audience. Once again, all these brands are trying to find new avenues for customers, and they're sticking their fingers in everybody else's honeypot. Once again, short-sighted in my opinion. Now, I don't really have a solution, but what I think these Swiss watch brands should do is just hold on tight, hope they have cash reserves, and ride it out. Stop increasing their pricing, start marketing to the local client because we really matter. This Chinese thing may never come back, and be a little bit more innovative in how you're reaching your clients. I mean, your new clients, Generation Y and Generation X type people, once again, how do we take in advertisements? It sure as hell isn't through the New York Times. So they need to wake up and innovate, not so much in the product, but in their communication. Now, this is just my opinion, guys. I'm certainly no expert. I've worked in the watch industry for, my entire career, so I know a little bit of insider information, but I don't claim to be an economist. All I know is it's really hurting right now. So the one good thing for you guys out there is because there's so much stock in the market, gray market, AD used, it's a great time to haggle, and it's a great time to buy if you have the money. And don't be scared to push hard, because chances are the dealer you're negotiating with hasn't sold a damn thing in a while. Now guys, what are your opinions? Let me know in the comment section below, and please, don't forget to hit subscribe. We're almost at 10,000, and we have a special giveaway planned once we do hit 10,000 subscribers. So I really appreciate the support. Once again, thank you for sticking around for another video of Federico Talks Watches, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.